Nothing Personal starts in 30 seconds. It's just business. This is Nothing Personal.
Here you go.
42. That's the Nothing Personal number of the day for Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. 42 is the number that was worn by Jackie Robinson, and yesterday was Jackie Robinson Day all around Major League Baseball, an initiative that's been going on since right at the beginning, I would assume, of my career. It's an initiative meant not just to have people think about Jackie Robinson on April 15th, but to talk about him on April 16th. And I wanted to do the honor of talking about Jackie Robinson. I wanted to remind you of his core values, remind you of what he did, regardless of your politics, regardless of your view of what is happening in the White House, what is happening with diversity, equity, and inclusion. It doesn't matter to me, actually, what you think. Whether you are in favor of eliminating all those programs or in favor of not just keeping them, but enhancing them, it's your choice. What is not your choice, let me say that nicer. What I believe shouldn't be your choice is to recognize and appreciate greatness. Greatness in artists and actors and business people and parents and teachers and first responders. Greatness in you. We all have a bit of greatness somewhere. Right now, the platform that we have, remember, you've got a platform too. One person, that's a platform, is finding your greatness and then spreading it and letting people see whether they can copy and emulate that greatness, whether it's worth copying and emulating. Now, there's some people in our country who believe that greatness is defined as racist, or greatness is defined as genocide, or greatness is defined as complete selfish gluttony. That may be your definition of greatness. I'm not sure that people would copy that, maybe emulate some of it, likely able to achieve little of it. Jackie Robinson completely went the other way. He lived a life worth living under circumstances that even in my worst nightmare, I would never be subjected to. And I'm talking to you as a Jewish man who has been subjected as a religion, as a culture to the unthinkable, as many of you have, who has been subjected to what happened last October 7th. And I tell you what Jackie Robinson had to deal with by becoming the first African American to play in Major League Baseball as a member of the Dodgers, the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time. Staggering. But it wasn't just that. When you read about and think about the values that he possessed and how to articulate them, you realize he's day worthy, not because he was black, not because he broke the color barrier. Those are factors. The reality is, if he were red, green, pink, yellow, blue, or white or brown, celebrating someone like Jackie Robinson and his greatness would be the right thing to do. So I hope that people take the time today to think about Jackie Robinson, to recognize the greatness. And just think to yourself, is anything about you great? And if not, why not? And if something is great about you, and I'll bet you $1 to a donut that something about you is great, share it with someone. See how they interact with it. When you run a team, you are forced to make decisions that you know will be unpopular, but you've got conviction about those decisions, whether you're doing it because of money, whether you're doing it because of true belief in talent evaluation. whether you're doing it for now or for later, unlikely that you can do things for both. Whenever you make a trade, whenever you make a decision to increase ticket prices or increase the price of hot dogs, all of the myriad decisions that you make as president of a team, I would say that out of the 10 million decisions I made, I could argue that 9.95 of them I had complete conviction in, which is a pretty good percentage. Yet there were still plenty of decisions that were made that I did not have conviction in, but you wouldn't know the difference unless I did some stuff off the record and leaked some stuff, which may or may not have happened during the course of my career, because who would ever do that? But you would think to yourself, that decision was something that Samson would have done. What Nico Harrison is doing now, mind-boggling. So after he trades Luka, he's the GM of the Mavericks. Here's what happens. He trades Luka, then he has a quick media avail the next day pregame. Meanwhile, it's been an absolute storm of feces that has followed the franchise ever since. In theory, fans fleeing for the exits. Mark Cuban separating himself from the team that he loves, craves, and has absolutely no power in anymore, which you, Nothing Personal listeners, always knew. You've had Nico Harrison, the GM, tell you why the trade was made and then leak things about his weight, his hookah smoking, and various other things that tried unsuccessfully to somehow make you think, oh, I get it now. That's why you trade a 25-year-old under control, number one jersey selling Luka Doncic. So he decided, here's an idea. Let me get the president of the team. Come with me, man. Let's meet the media again. So he calls up Rick Welts, the CEO, and he says, I think that if we tell people about our price increases, we tell people how much money we're losing, and we tell people how much we love the trade, then, I believe people will be with us. All will be forgiven. The problem is they got the wrong Jewish holiday. Passover is not when forgiveness comes. That's Yom Kippur. You want to do a press conference like this? Number one, let cameras in. Number two, let it be recorded. Number three, ask for forgiveness. That's okay to do, because the best part about us as fans, we want to forgive. We want to build people up. We want to rip them down, and then we want to forgive them and watch them rise again like the phoenix that we wish we could be, but know we have no chance, toilet pants, to ever have happen to us. So Nico gets it all wrong. He meets the media with the CEO. No cameras, no recording, hand-picked people, which is ridiculous. You want it now. Let me be fair, because someone in the Mavericks is watching and someone in PR is watching. So let me speak to that person directly. When your owner and your CEO and your GM tells you that they want to do something, it's your job to give them the positives and negatives of that decision. But then the decision that they make, you have to go with and you have to defend. The reason why, when told that they didn't want to do it with cameras or recording, the reason why you say no is that you can get that done by sitting him down with a friendly columnist. I've done this. You can get this by having him go on a friendly team-controlled radio station on the team broadcast. You want to do something that's just message-related and all vanilla and all full of crap, do that. But if you want to start building credibility back with your fan base and with the both local and national media, you've got to open it to both local and national media, and you got to sit there and you got to talk and answer questions. But as head of PR for the Mavericks, you say to Mr. Welts, the CEO, and Mr. Harrison, the GM, just out of curiosity, are you saying anything that you haven't said? What's the hook? What's the new information that would cause us to meet the media? To which Rick Welts would have said, well, we want to talk about the ticket price increase. No, we can do that in a press release. What else? Well, we want to say that defense wins championships. Well, no, Nico, you already said that. And, we're not about to win a championship. So So what else? Well, we want to talk about the fact that we would have done this trade again. Well, you've already said that, and we can do that with the team-friendly thing. Last one, Nico. I'm just curious, why would you sit down today, which was yesterday, although they would have planned this a few days in advance? We're not even in the playoffs yet. We're playing a play-in game. There is a chance that we will not be one of the top 8 playoff seeds. You're then going to have to do an off-season, start of off-season presser, an availability. We can do it all at once. What is it that made the Mavs PR cave and genuflect in a way that I would fire them? Because I want my PR people to make sure that I don't do anything self-inflicted. I do plenty of things that are bad when I was in the front-facing running the team for those multiple years, but I knew what I was doing every time I did it. There's no way that Nico has any idea what he was doing, because if he did, why exactly would he talk about Dirk Nowitzki? Explain that to me. It would be like me as a Marlin doing some sort of press conference and saying, by the way, I don't give a flying rat's pituitary gland what Jeff Conine thinks. It's absurd. Nico said, my obligation is to the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, there's no need for a press conference for that because you're the president of baseball ops. That better be your obligation, but I digress. My obligation is what's the best interest of the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, so far I'm not learning much. Then he went off the reservation. He said some of those decisions are going to be unpopular, maybe to Dirk and maybe to the fans. But again, my obligation is to the Dallas Mavericks. Dear Nico and Rick, when you do with your next press avail, when you're eliminated for the playoffs, which is guaranteed to happen in the next 10 days at most, I would suggest that Dirk be at that, because Dirk is your best chance at bridging to your fans and to the media that which you're doing. And Dirk is the person you should try to explain why it made sense to trade Luka. And if there's a disagreement, you can actually talk about that. You can be honest about the disagreement and how decisions are made. What is so wrong with letting the media and the fans know the process that you went through? No, we didn't talk to Cuban. We didn't talk to Dirk. We don't care. And by the way, we didn't tell Jokic before we were firing Malone. Don't care. Wink, wink. Come on. We always had time when we made these crazy trades or did the things that I did. We had time to speak to whoever we wanted to. And if we didn't speak to them, it's because we didn't want to. And if you didn't want to and don't want to, keep it to yourself. Don't do this cockamamie press avail and talk about something that may be unpopular to Dirk, because then you force Mark Cuban, which you don't want him to do, to publicly respond to defend Dirk, which he did. So now you've actually gone backwards. But it didn't stop them from continuing, because Harrison said, there's no regrets, Frank Sinatra, on the trade. I did it my way. Part of my job, best thing for the Mavericks. And then he said, I would do it again. That's the interesting part about this. When asked whether he would make the trade over, when asked whether or not he regrets the trade, he said, like I said, going forward, defense wins championships, and we're built on defense. This trade cements us for that. I'll say it again, he said, defense wins championships. Do you know what's really cool about saying that? Because here's what I used to say. I used to say pitching and defense wins rings. And then we won a ring really soon after saying it. So I was allowed to keep saying it, even when we didn't have enough pitching. And we had one of the great young outfields of all time in Stanton, Yelich, and Ozuna, as much underperforming as the team did during that time. I had the ability to keep saying that about pitching and defense. Do you know when I didn't say it? Is after trading Miguel Cabrera. I did not say we traded Miguel Cabrera because we thought we'd be better without him. I didn't say we traded Miguel Cabrera because we thought that he was going to be overweight or wasn't going to win a Triple Crown or wasn't going to win another World Series. First ballot Hall of Famer. I came out, if you go back and look at the quotes from 2000 and Coca helped me, 7 is my guess. I'm going to say, just for fun, November of 07, but I don't remember. All the years tend to melt together. You got to handle it straight up. Didn't want to trade him. Had to choose between him and putting money into a new ballpark, and chose the long-term health and stability of keeping baseball in Miami. It crushes me to not have Miguel Cabrera on the team. That's one way to go. Or just keep meeting the media, raising your prices, telling them the defense wins championships when you're not going to win a championship. You haven't won a championship since you had Dirk, the one guy who's now telling you that you're out of your mind for having traded Luka, and it turns out the results may show that. The whole thing to me seemed like a large, big cluster. And then that's when Mr. Welts, the CEO, took over and put the final nail in the "this is horse hockey." He wants you to know something, because always fans love to hear about this. This is the number one thing. I did a poll once, Coca, a straw poll. How much do you want to hear about owners losing money? 100 people surveyed. Top 2 answers on the board. Do fans want to hear about owners losing money? Yes. Survey says, buzzer. Do fans want to hear about owners losing money? Never. What does it say? Ding, number 1. Number 2 answer on the board is no. Never and no. Yet, Rick Welts meets the media and says, I don't think those 100 people surveyed actually are the real 100 people, so let me explain what happened here. We have a renewal rate of 75 to 85%, he said. 75% to 80% of season ticket members have already renewed their tickets for next season. The thing about that is, here's the information we don't have. When you sign a 3-year contract to have a ticket or a suite or a box, we get to count you as a renewal every year. You can't cancel. It's already a done deal. It's a long-term contract. It would be like having a 10-year naming rights deal, and after each year announcing, we've got a naming rights deal. Or it would be the Mets having 15 press conferences in a row every year saying, we signed Juan Soto. The first one was more effective. The others are less interesting. Still cool you have them. Now, the regular renewal rate for crappy teams, we were always in that range. And we had very few season ticket holders, and our teams weren't very good very often. So saying that we have between 75 and 80% of season ticket members already renewed for next season is not that impressive. But let's keep going, because Rick Welts didn't stop. He said that means there's a segment of our fan base that doesn't feel alienated right now. You can't say that. You can never correlate the fact that someone has a season ticket and that means that someone is happy. It's actually the opposite. Sometimes there's an inverse correlation where people buy season tickets because they're generally unhappy. They like the experience. They like the write-off. They like their seats. They don't want to lose their seats. They know that you're going to be gone soon. Nico will be gone soon, and they'll still have the seats in their family, in their business. They write it off. There's a gazillion reasons to buy season tickets. None of them have to do with who feels alienated and who doesn't. Then he said, I'm sorry we had to raise prices. And here's the violation. When you announce a price increase, here's what you're not supposed to do. And the Mavericks just did it. It's crazy to me. We raised our ticket prices. That's true. But even with those increases, we're only middle of the pack among the 30 NBA teams. I could do a whole family feud again if you'd like. But do you know what doesn't appear as an answer of 100 Mavericks ticket holders surveyed about their ticket price increases, whether or not it matters to them where they fall in the average of NBA increases in prices? That's right. X. The buzzer. Fans don't care about that. Here's the message. If you actually look across our entire arena, there are tickets that are available that are lower than they were a year ago. Of course, there are certain areas where the demand is such that it allows for a price increase, but there are also areas where we have decreased the price in an effort to continue to make our product and our team available to as many possible fans as we can. When you add it all up, it looks like a 7% or 8% increase. But the truth of the matter is that when you go through our bowl, you'll find that the majority of tickets have gone down in price. Why do I know this is true? Because it's what I did. We would maneuver. It's a math equation. This is before AI where I can just, hey, GPT, could you tell me what the maximum I can charge tickets at Marlins Park, increase each section while still announcing that there's been a total ticket price decrease? It would take about a second and a half. We used to pay like $5,000 a month. 1 second and a half for $19.99 a month. And we could have the PR announcement we wanted. The simple PR announcement that we wanted. I just don't get it. But then, I'm sorry to my people in Dallas. You know I love you. You know I do. Houston, I love the whole Texas area. Do you really want to get into with your fans the amount of money you lost? Because they tried that too. Hey, I got to tell you, the Mavericks we were projected to lose more than $100 million this season, and that was before the Doncic trade. Do you understand what happened with our local revenue? Do you understand the amount of money we spent to create Mavs TV, which just can be helpful for getting your games without blackouts, easy to get on your devices? But my God, we had to spend a lot of money. We lost about $53 million from TV revenue because you're cutting the cord. And there's a whole lot of people who don't want to pay to see us because they don't watch us. 100 Mavs fans surveyed. Do you care how much money exactly the owners have lost? You can imagine what the top two answers are. I'm tired, Coca. I admit it. I'm tired. But don't be worried about holiday eating because I've got just what you need to get back on the healthy track. It's time for you to try Huel. What is Huel? It's a ready-to-go drink packed with healthy vitamins and minerals and, wait for it, 35 grams of protein. Whenever I'm on the run and need something quick and easy to fuel up, I just grab my Huel. It's my go-to lately, and it's the vanilla one. So put down the fast food and replace it with a fast drink, one you know needs no prep, no hassle. You just grab and crack it. Huel will save you time and money. Black Edition ready to drink is a meal in a bottle. One bottle contains 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and is low in sugar. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal designed by nutrition experts and takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. New customers, visit Huel.com/Samson today and use code SAMSON, and you'll get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Huel. Can we talk about attendance? I got a few things for you on this, Coca. We just started to talk a little bit about that with the Mavericks and with price increases. We talk about attendance, whether you're president of a team, whether you host a podcast. It's this weird measuring stick that is reminiscent of middle school locker rooms. People like to talk about their attendance a lot as though there's some correlation between attendance and winning, which we always say there is. Between attendance and spending, we always hear there is. It's not really like that. People in Minnesota will tell you, hey, we're not drawing right now. There's a lot of articles in Minnesota. The Twins aren't drawing at their fabulous ballpark. They announced a paid crowd of like just over 10,000 for a game this week against the Mets. And they announced that someone said it was their smallest crowd in 15 years. There may have been weather issues or whatever the case was. We've told you about the Pirates. Paul Skeens is drawing 10 grand for his starts. That's it in that beautiful ballpark. You know the Marlins last night drew 7,300 people. That's what I used to draw when we'd play the Diamondbacks midweek, but we'd announce if you go back to a Diamondbacks midweek game, I didn't do this, but you can bet your sweet Bippy we were not announcing 7,300. We were announcing 13,469. Go back if someone really has all the time in the world, or ask GPT the number of times our attendance ended with 69. You may laugh. Or 226. It's my birthday. The thing about attendance is that you go team by team and you focus on the good stories when you're Major League Baseball, that the Mets are averaging 5,000 fans more than last year, that the Dodgers have a chance to have over 4 million when they were at 3.9 last year. They're averaging 50,000 a game, which is just incredible. You can talk about all the games the Rays are selling out. You get to call it a sellout even though it's 10,000 fans because you know they're playing at the spring training facility for the Yankees. There's a lot of talk about the A's in Sacramento and how they're not drawing great, even though their attendance is decent. They have a small stadium. They're not selling it out. They're playing in a AAA park. What does all this have in common, and why is it so important? It's that Rob Manfred, as the commissioner of baseball, needs to figure out a couple of things. He said to us that the league averaged 29,373 fans per game last season, and he would like that, which was a record since 2017, the most. He wants that to be higher during this season. He's not necessarily willing to do what Bud Selig was willing to do. When Bud Selig said the attendance was going to be higher, trust me, it was higher, because he would call teams and say, hey, make your attendance higher. We'll buy tickets from you. We would buy tickets from us. That's how we would get our attendance higher. You can create records all you want. But as you know, 100 people who spend $1 is the same as one person who spends $100. So that is why attendance is an absolutely meaningless number. Because if you bring in one person and they're willing to pay you $100, and the only way to get 100 people is if they're only willing to pay $1, what do? 100 people feels better. That's more people. But then you got to get people and ushers and parking and concessions. Screw it. Let the one person spend $100 and bring them into your suite. You see, there are expenses associated with revenues. And you take your revenues, you hope they're greater than your expenses. And from that, you have an operating income or profit. If your expenses are greater than your revenues, you are SOL. So when attendance is discussed, what you should be focused on is what is the average ticket price at these ballparks? What is the revenue that is being generated at these ballparks? Both ticket revenue, then the concomitant food, beverage, merchandise, parking revenue. You put all that together and you start to get the picture of what the local attendance-related revenue is. Remember, if you buy a ticket to a baseball game, you count as paid attendance. But if you don't show up, and there's thousands of people who don't show up, when the Dodgers announce a sellout, you will always see empty seats. It is normal. People don't show up, but it's still a paid ticket. But you only get the ticket revenue. You don't get food, parking, beverage, concession, unless they are part of an all-inclusive area where you prepay for all that, which is my kind of area, because it gives me revenue certainty and me not caring about someone not showing up because they've already paid for everything. The interesting thing that baseball has to think about now as it heads into collective bargaining is, how important is attendance? It's always been the thing that we focused on. Hey, more people go to see baseball games than the other leagues combined. Well, we've got 10 times more games than anybody else, so that would seem to make sense. And we also have these pretty high capacity places, because think about arenas where hockey and basketball are 18,000, 19,000. The Garden, 19,700. And hi, my name is David Sampson. We're good. 19,763 is the attendance at the Garden. You announce a baseball game on a Saturday night of 19,763, and the question is, what's wrong? How did that happen? So the question is, how important is attendance? Well, it turns out that Rob Manfred has been telling us, along with Noah Garden, the deputy commissioner in charge of business and media, that they've decided they want to make this a more national game. They want there to be national streaming packages, national broadcast packages, the NFL way of doing things. The NFL way of doing things is that the majority of revenue that teams have in a salary cap, salary floor league, where the band between the team spending the most and the team spending the least is way smaller than what exists in baseball. The way they do that is they take all the national broadcast revenue, split it equally, and that national broadcast revenue is a huge percentage of team revenue. Baseball has just never been that way. But if they're trying to make baseball that way, there's a few things that come with it. If national broadcast revenue becomes the thing, why would it not make sense? And please, do not think for 1 second that I've changed my mind about anything relating to Scott Boras. Nothing. And that's not shrapnel against Boras. That is earned because of who he is and how he acts and what he does. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Scott Boras had something, and when he had something I agree with, I'm happy to tell you. And the more I've been thinking about it, the more I agree with it. He was talking about neutral site World Series. Why would a neutral site World Series make sense? Well, turns out the Super Bowl is at a neutral site. Maybe once in a while, coincidentally, you've got a team who makes it to the Super Bowl, but a site that's chosen years in advance. It's used by the broadcaster who knows it's broadcasting to activate it. It's used by the league to activate with the partners. It's not a last-minute craze, which is what baseball always has been, where you've got multiple teams planning World Series events. Sponsors don't know where they're going into the last minute. They have to double book flights. Forget traveling secretaries. Neutral fans, not from the city, don't know, do I fly in? Do I not fly in? Do I wait till it's done? And then can I get tickets? If you know where the World Series is going to be, the other thing you can do, have it at a huge stadium. I bring your attention to 2003 when the Yankees and Marlins were in the World Series. The Marlins were playing at Pro Player Stadium, selling out a football stadium for every one of the 3 home games. The old Yankee Stadium, where the World Series was, yes, we were the last team to win a World Series at Old Yankee Stadium in 2003. 60,000 plus. The players get a share of that. The league gets a share of that. The revenue that is gained through a 6 or 7 game series at a site where both venues, home and away, are that big is tremendous. Imagine if you played all 7 games in a football-sized stadium. Imagine if you played all 7 games in a huge capacity, good weather. Forget the Alex Cora. No one cares about the weather in October. The fact of the matter is it's a big deal to players. It's a big deal to fans. It's a big deal to sponsors. Why do you think the NFL owners can't stand Super Bowls in Minnesota? They want to be in Miami, New Orleans, Los Angeles, Vegas. Weather matters. There are going to be tons of changes coming down the pike in baseball over the next 3 years. And don't be surprised if neutral site World Series is back on the table. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about something I did last night. And then we're going to talk about Nothing Personal Pick of the Day. And then we get to talk about the Baltimore Orioles. Don't go away. You're going to be amused. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's David Sampson. Please rate, review, subscribe. Tell your friends, family, people you like, people you don't like. Hate listeners are welcomed here. Nothing Personal with David Sampson. We will be back Monday. There will be a show on the DraftKings Network tomorrow and Friday. Will be a show that you have heard. If you are new to the show, which many of you are, then pay attention at 8 a.m. tomorrow because the show will be released. It will be a repeat. I will be gone for 2 days and then back live Monday at 8 a.m. sharp because we are never late. Last night, I went to a play. I've been going out more during the week. Coca don't like doing it. It's called The Last 5 Years with Nick Jonas and Adrian Warren. I sent Coca a picture because at the end of the play, I bought a playbook that was signed by them. It was for charity. It was for, there it is right there if you're watching this. If not, it's the playbill that you're given, and it's signed by the two stars, Nick Jonas and Adrian Warren, to raise money for Broadway's fight against AIDS. Good, very, very, very good charity. And a lot of these programs are defunded. A lot of these countries, the medicine is now gone. And while we don't think about AIDS much, I promise you there are people around the world who think about AIDS every single day. Side note, just because you're not Immanuel Kant, okay? Just because you're not looking at something doesn't mean it's not there. The Last 5 Years is a show that started in Chicago about two people who have been together for 5 years, from meeting to marriage and to end of relationship, all in 5 years. And the story takes you from both their perspectives, but it's parallel in reverse. So the story in the beginning is the end for her and the beginning for him. And the end of the play, stay with me, is the beginning for her and the end for him. Now, you'd imagine, because it's parallel in reverse, that there's got to be a Benjamin Button moment when Brad Pitt looks at Cate Blanchett and says, my God, we're the same age now. I think that was Cate Blanchett who said it, which is a movie I get to review tomorrow, which means, Coke, I got to watch it today because I didn't watch it this week yet. It's one of my top 100. And in the middle, they meet. There's a movie of the last 5 years with Jeremy Jordan and Anna Kendrick. I've reviewed it on Nothing Personal, I believe, within the last 5 years. Thank you. And if I haven't, I should have, because the movie's better. Now, don't get me wrong, seeing Nick Jonas up close, nice. Hearing the screams of people who thought we were at a Nick Jonas concert, less than ideal. Not because I'm a Broadway stuffy guy, because I couldn't hear the songs that I love to hear. Nick Jonas did not have the range that Jeremy Jordan has. Adrian Warren was fantastic. She's a Tony Award winner. She played Tina Turner and won the Tony for that role. But man, I want you to watch the Last 5 Years movie. You don't need to go to the Broadway play unless you want to be 10 feet from Nick Jonas, in which case do it. But there are better ways to spend your money. But go watch the movie. Nothing Personal pick of the day.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
What's the use of losing and despondency if you don't celebrate the winning? We had another win pick of the day yesterday. We had Mr. Luzardo over Mr. Verlander. They both pitched fine at best. The Phillies did win 6-4. We're now 41-40. I can't remember the last time we were over 500. We are on a streak. Is there a chance we're 15-3 in our last 18, Coca? Is it really that possible? And if so, we might as well keep going. I've got 2 picks for you today, and then no picks for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So these picks tonight matter. Did anybody watch the playoff games from yesterday? Play-in games. What do I call them? Play-in, not play-off. Play on, play over, play hard, play dough, play do. First game. I really thought that there was a team that wanted to lose, and then Trae Young gets ejected, and the Hawks get rolled by the Magic, and now the Magic have to play the Celtics, and all the Hawks have to do is beat the winner of the Bulls and Heat, and then the Hawks get to play the Cavs. Am I crazy here? Because I'm not so sure I am. I'm not sure the Hawks looked at all like a team that had any interest in the Boston Celtics. It's a risky move that we talked about yesterday, but I've seen crazier. Second game was more fun for me. watching the Warriors, watching Heat fans eat their heart out as playoff Jimmy made another appearance. He and Curry combined for, I don't know, they each scored 37 or more points. It's like they were at the free throw line every month in Doncic, and they looked at the team, even with Draymond making one field goal, just his presence on defense, sort of the disruption he has, sort of a poor man's Rodman. I'm sorry to say that, but is that a hot take? I hate that word. Is that a true statement? Is Draymond Green a poor man's Dennis Rodman? He's not better than Dennis Rodman. That would be total recency bias. Has anyone ever talked about that, Coca? Comparing Draymond Green to Dennis Rodman? I don't know why that just came to my head. So the Mavericks, 4-8-6-9. So the Grizzlies lost to the Warriors because the Warriors with Jimmy Butler have been playing fantastically. So now the Warriors are in position where they're the 7 seed, and hello, they got to avoid playing the Thunder. Because the truth of the matter is the Grizzlies can still make the playoffs, but they have to play the winner of tonight's 9 versus 10 game, which has the Mavericks in it. And the reward is you get the Thunder. Now the Warriors get to play the Rockets. So it was the opposite to me of what was happening in the Eastern Conference. We're going to see if any of this matters as the playoffs continue to get underway. But just watch. Tonight's games are 9v10. So the Bulls are playing the Heat. The Bulls are -1 over the Heat. We're taking the Bulls. They are playing better. They are a better team, no matter what people in Miami say, no matter how good Adebayo and Hero are. The Bulls are actually playing better, no matter what the season series is like. The Bulls in Chicago -1 over the Heat to have the right to go play and maybe even beat Atlanta to then have the right to play the Cavaliers. That sounds like a deal for Mr. Reinsdorf. So we're taking the Bulls -1 over the Heat. In baseball, we're going to go the opposite way of our pick from last night. And I want to talk about taking the Giants over the Phillies because Aaron Nola is still being priced in the market as though he's Aaron Nola from the last few years. And so far, Aaron Nola this year has been ordinary with actual doses of extraordinarily poor. He's not a number 2 or number 3 starter. Now, Robbie Ray is not who he used to be when he was cha-chinging, but the Giants are unlikely to lose 2 games in a row as they try to extend their run on top of the NL West. So we are going to take the Giants over the Phillies, and we're going to get +124. Those are your 2 nothing personal picks of the day. Do you remember yesterday? If you just started watching Nothing Personal today, thank you. Welcome aboard. Sometimes I'll reference previous shows. This is our 1,258th show like this form with words of the day and movie reviews and picks of the day. We've done several hundred other shows, which are mailbags and sit downs, etc. We've been doing this for 5 years. If this is your first show, thank you. And every day we get new viewers and new listeners. So I appreciate you all. Just know that. I talked to you about how to define panic a lot. Talk about during the course of a season because fans, this is their specialty. Oh my God, we stink. Oh my God, we're never going to win another game. Oh my God, the season's over. I loved, as a president of a team, which I was for 18 years, to be able to say to fans, hey, don't you panic. I'll tell you when to panic, and it's not quite yet. The reason why that makes me laugh is that inside, I was always panicked. But outside, I was the flight attendant that while the plane was going down was serving Coca-Cola. I'm the guy in the Titanic who's playing the violin saying, don't you like my music? Could you go put on a life jacket and maybe a little pair of pants if you don't mind? When my season is in the crapper, I'm saying to you, we got this. We're just going to fire a manager. We'll make a trade or 2, and boom, we'll be there in October. Well, there are teams every year that are supposed to be good and then get off to poor starts. And it's only a matter of time before the GM of the team starts talking to the media because the GM of the team is thinking, oh God, we have a slight problem here. And I think other people are noticing it, so I better talk. The thing about Elias, who's the GM, Orioles GM, just think about the Orioles organization. They're a young team that's been in the playoffs. They've done a perfect rebuild. They've got great young players, maybe one of the best players in all of baseball in Gunnar Henderson. They're off to a 6-10 start. They've had injuries up the wazoo. They had a rotation that lost Corbin Burnes to the Diamondbacks for $200 million plus. They signed a couple of people in order to help them, the Charlie Mortons of the world, trying to get one-year deals, trying to hang on to complement the core of position players they have. I get the plan. And then the plan goes up in smoke when you've got two major injuries to your rotation. You know, Grayson's out, Eflin's down, Zach and Rodriguez, they're out, they're hurt. And now you're starting guys who shouldn't be starting. You're testing your depth, but your payroll isn't big enough to have depth, just like the Dodgers with their huge number one payroll. Even they can't deal with the starting pitching injuries that happen and underperformance. So what do? You hope that your position players can overcome the crappy ERA. The way the Los Angeles Angels now are doing. They are clubbing home runs. They are scoring runs in bunches, and it overcomes their mediocre pitching. The problem is when you have mediocre pitching, which the Orioles do, you have to have top-of-the-line offense. The Orioles' starting pitching ERA is the worst in baseball. Their overall ERA is like second to last in the American League. Generally, you're not going to make the playoffs. You have to be in the middle or above in pitching and the middle or above in hitting, both, in order to really give yourself a chance. And if you're going to be below average in one, you better be way above average in the other. But the problem is when you talk about panicking and about your 6-10 start, the media then starts thinking about, well, what else should we be talking about? And what do you think is the number one topic that is asked of baseball executives these days? Because for some reason, fans and media are obsessed over it. Why aren't we extending our young players? Look at all these other teams who are locking up their players for multiple years. What about us? And you have to address in a way that doesn't make your fans or media feel like they're moronic, because it is true that there are teams who are doing it. But there's just as big a reason not to do it, which I've explained on this show. All you're getting is cost certainty, and you are basically letting a player off the hook for injury or non-performance for a feel-good article that, oh, the player is signed for an extra 2 years in free agency, where the odds are way more often that those deals don't work. There's a new owner in Baltimore who is ready, willing, and able to spend money, but he's not a dope. Why would he approve doing something that he puts in his mathematical equation that says this doesn't work? Why do I need to do something to appease fans when the truth is what they really want is to win, which is what I used to think. And then I came to realize when I took my cynic pills is that it's not that fans just want to win. It's that fans want to win doing it the way the fans want to do it if they were having the job, or if they talk about having the job during a random Tuesday at work or at home or at a bar. And so what fans say is spend money. Then when you spend money and lose, fans get upset, like at the Dolphins. You stink, Stephen Ross. He spends money. You stink, Rogers Communications and Edward Rogers. Man, they spend money. But when you spend money and lose, we spent money one year and lost, crushed. And think about it. The young players the Orioles have are already signed. Adley Rutschman still has 2 years left after this. Henderson has 3 years left after this. Little Holiday, Jackson Holiday has 2 years of pre-arb still. They're so young. You don't have to panic sign anybody, and your window is still open. To win with young players outperforming their contract is the only way to win if you're not in LA. It's to make your winning windows last as long as possible and then allow for the window to close and then rebuild it back to the window opening. Otherwise, you're a play-in team every single year. You're a middle-of-the-road 80-win team, and no one wants to be there. You either want to be dominant, and what happens in the playoffs happens in the playoffs, or you want to stink while you're retooling, rebuilding. When you sign too many of these young guys to contracts, you are strangling yourself and your future payroll and your ability to properly manage your window. So what if David Rubenstein, what if Elias and the Orioles and Brandon Hyde, what if they actually have it figured out in a way that works? May not win a World Series, but it's been working on the field. It's been working off the field. I think Elias should have just met the media, looked right in the camera and said, hey, it's just business. We'll see you Monday. This is nothing personal.